What's going on, guys? This Shady of Lightning back with the final episode of Digimon Adventure Try Determination. This episode was crazy hype. We had the usual drama of Joe being very Joe-like, indecisive, arguing with everyone. Even Gomamon was screaming at him for more or less asking him, why are you being such a bitch boy for? Just get over it. And of course, Joe was having none of it. Me and Dimsy were watching this episode and we were asking ourselves, when is the Digimon Emperor going to kidnap Mekomon? As we saw in that TV commercial, but instead the animators proper trolled the Digimon fanboys. And instead of the Digimon Emperor, we had Maki, who would be taking Mekomon in. But shit turned real when Mekomon was playing in the files and a wild Digimon Emperor appeared out of the distortions of space and took Mekomon, and then the dominoes started falling. Leomon appeared to have something infecting him. He has this purple poison looking aura and it has been affecting him throughout the whole episode. Palmon and Gomamon go flying in trying to save Mekomon. Meiko herself couldn't enter the portal, maybe because she's not living data like Digimon, but a being of flesh and blood. Although you can make the argument that the Digimon Emperor is a human just like Meiko, but as we see later in the episode, the Digimon Emperor may not appear to be the actual Digimon Emperor. But Gomamon and Leomon and Palmon go flying in order to save Mekomon, and only them, because an external force is closing down the barrier for the outer portal of the dimension, which didn't allow the rest of the partner Digimon to help out. Enter Imperialdramon. Finally, we see some heavy action scenes. At the start of the fight, I must say, it seems as though Imperialdramon isn't really taking this fight seriously, much like Alphamon in the first movie. In these scenes, he's just throwing them around, and when he does use the laser attacks from his mouth and the cannon from his back, he's missing the target. It's almost as if he's being sloppy in this fight on purpose by not delivering the finishing blow when he so easily could have. Kari does something I have been crying out for this whole movie. Someone finally saying to Joe, you have to fight. Who cares about being a kid or an adult? If your friend needs help, you help them out. Which of course snapped Joe back into reality with an epic Ike! Gomamon! Ike! Gomamon! Those passionate screams led to the eventual and epic entrance of Vikemon and Rosemon. As much as I love seeing these two Mega Digimon, I have to say I am a bit disappointed with the evolution sequence from Ultimate to Mega. Remember back in the first season when they went from Champion to Ultimate? Ikakumon would be covered in a tsunami, and then you see the hammer, and then you finally see Zudomon appear. It's just lazy from Toei with the circle orb transforming Lilymon and Zudomon to their respective Megas. But the fight scenes after more than make up for that, with Imperialdramon finally getting serious and going into Imperialdramon fighter mode and taking on both of the Mega Digimon. The action is exhilarating with both Rosemon and Vikemon not holding back against Imperialdramon, as they are not in the real world, which is allowing them the freedom to use their full power attacks against Imperialdramon, and with the help of a weakened Leomon, they were able to defeat Imperialdramon by combining both their attacks at the same time. Before I was saying how the Digimon Emperor may not be the Digimon Emperor, if you look again, when the Digimon Emperor gave Mekomon back, Heckmon was at the top, and it looked like he was projecting a hologram of the Digimon Emperor, which is quite out there, but there may be a few possible reasons for that to be true. Firstly, the Digimon Emperor just disappeared. When Ken was the Emperor in Season 2, he didn't have the ability to do that. Secondly, if Ken was the Digimon Emperor, he is being unusually quiet. Again, when he was the Emperor back in Season 2, he was an egomaniac. If he was losing the fight, he would be screaming, throwing a tantrum, but in this movie, he wasn't doing any of that. He was just smiling, which is very strange and very questionable. After Leomon came out with all the partner Digimon, Meiko was waiting for Mekomon to come to her, but Mekomon didn't. She just turned around and she clearly looks disturbed with the whole fiasco with the Digimon Emperor. It also turns out that the email that Izzy got was a prophecy. I am now retracting my words, and I now believe that either Genai or, I know this is strange, but maybe Heckmon sent that email. Genai obviously because he's the wise old man, but Heckmon is a weird one. He's known to be a good guy, but that's just my gut feeling telling me this. Let me know what you guys think on who sent the email of this prophecy to Izzy. Of course, Leomon died again, but the shock value on the way he died makes this scene that much more powerful. Both me and Dimsy were watching this, and Dimsy noticed that as the camera panned towards the reaction shot of all the DigiDestined and their Digimon partners, as well as Nishijima and Maki, after Mekomon killed Leomon, Maki was smiling whilst everyone else was gasping in horror. Now, if we go back to the earlier scene when the animators trolled us into thinking that the Digimon Emperor grabbed Mekomon, but instead it was Maki, what if that was a foreshadowing instead of a joke? Especially now when we see her smiling after the horrific thing that Mekomon did. That scene before was just showing us that us, the viewer, her sneaky and sinister side. To add to that point, she's the first one to leave when Mekomon disappeared. When Nishijima said, is it okay to just leave them there? She just simply replied, there's nothing we can do. That speaks volume to me and makes me think that she is up to something. Now guys, I have to be brutally honest. I feel as though the poster of this movie was a lie. I expected a lot more from this movie in the sense that I thought the character arcs between Mimi and Joe would have been concluded better. It just felt like a big anticlimax to me throughout the whole movie. There was this deep build up for Joe to finally show his determination, hence the title of this movie being called Determination. But instead, we have both him and Mimi screaming at a laptop. Don't get me wrong, this scene was very good. I just thought that it would have worked better if Mimi and Joe were in the other dimension with Rosemon and Vikemon, similarly to the Digimon movie Our Wargreymon, when we see both Matt and Tai with Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon, and seeing them trying to push their partner Digimon forward. And they did, and as a result we see the birth of Omnimon. It would have worked better for both Mimi and Joe's character if it was similar to that, but it is what it is. Overall, this movie was very funny. I didn't expect this movie to turn out the way it did because of the dark, ominous music being played in the trailers, but I think the lighthearted can be justified because there are still 4 more movies left and we know shit is going to get serious in the next few movies. Dimsy, what are your final thoughts on the Digimon Adventure Tri-Determination movie?
Thanks, Shady. I guess I'll start off with talking about the characters. Now, let's start off with Sora and TK, because they had the least amount of impact in my opinion in this movie, whereas TK initially had a bit of impact where he involved or he interacted with Meiko, but then that was literally it. Sora was non-existent in this. Kari, Meiko and Izzy, yes, they had a nice prevalent role in this movie in terms of Kari was the one who brought Joe back into reality. She slapped him back into reality with her little calm demeanor, as well as her being the anchor between the viewer and the DigiDestined in terms of conveying the struggles that Joe and Mimi felt. Now, Izzy was the usual logical thinker and he did have a go at Mimi, which kind of started and snowballed her little arc that she went through. Let's talk about Tai and Matt. Now, Tai and Matt, normally being the main 2 characters over the Digimon Adventure series, they took a little backseat, but the thing is, their backseat really did work because the little conflict they had in Digimon Adventure Tri Reunion kind of went through and overlapped onto the next movie. However, it acted like a little side plot which also advanced the current feelings and kind of conveyed the feelings that Joe and Mimi felt from a different medium. It's obvious that Joe is pretty much conveying Tai's mindset, whereas Mimi is conveying Matt's mindset, where Tai and Joe are like, we need to grow up, or something's wrong, or we need to stop acting like children and kind of live our lives, whereas Mimi and Matt are like, no, we can't change. Why should we change? We need to stick to our morals and do what we do best to protect our friends. Speaking of friends, let's talk about a little digital friend, and that is Gomamon. Gomamon was quite the MVP of this movie and especially of this episode, whereas he had enough. He absolutely cannot stand Joe's bullshit anymore. Now, Gomamon tried to make the bridges work between Joe and the rest, but Joe kept on shooing him away. So you know what? Gomamon's like, you know what, get lost. You know what, I don't need you for now. You calm down for a bit and maybe you come groveling back when the time comes. He didn't really mean it in a malicious way, but when Joe did come back, it did make for an even better payoff. Now let's talk about Joe and Mimi. Now, Shady said Joe and Mimi's little story arc this movie didn't work out. I disagree. I think that Mimi's one worked perfectly. Mimi is the positive character. How does she deal with adversity? She either becomes very negative or she becomes very positive, either to mask her feelings, also to make others feel happy. Now, Mimi really did struggle in this movie, whereby she really struggled thinking that how can we help our friends? We need to change the mindset and the views for the media onto these Digimon and show them that these guys are good people. Kind of weird because he reminds you of the original Tai mindset. She was very, very bullish in the way she approached things. Now, Joe really did piss me off. So now I did say that Mimi's little character arc was perfectly done. Joe's one, it was actually, but at the same time it didn't work. The reason it was done is because this is Joe. We know Joe to be the coward, the whiny little idiot, and as we've established from Digimon Adventure Season 1. But the thing is, the way the story unfolded, it really was very powerful in terms of it made you feel emotion, it made you feel sadness, but you can't feel empathy for Joe. I can't really feel for him. I was getting annoyed. And the thing is, there was this delicate balance to be struck between Joe, Mimi, Gomamon and Powmon, and I don't think they really reached that point. As Shady did say earlier, one way they could have really made it work is if Mimi and Joe traveled with Powmon and Gomamon into that digital limbo, whatever world that is. That would cap off the connection, the emotional connection we had, because as Shady said, Mimi and Joe are shouting at a laptop. It doesn't have that same weight that Tai and Matt had when they were with Metal Garurumon and Wargreymon as they're fighting Diaboromon in that weird world. Why can't we have that? Now let's move on to Maki and Nishijima. Now let's start with Nishijima. Nishijima is really relating. He's very much relating to the DigiDestined. He's like, you know what? I understand the importance and significance for these lot to live their childhood and to be children. They can't have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Now, he's a very good character and I do think he's going to be a fan favorite as the movies do churn out. Whereas Maki has a bit of of intrigue and mystery towards her. Now, as Shady did mention, I'm not going to repeat it, there was many foreshadowing techniques which were introduced throughout, whereby Maki is like, you know what, she actually knew that Mekomon was the cause of the virus, and she knows more than she's letting off. And here's one thing I kind of noticed: why was Maki straight to say Ken, Ichijouji? All of them said Ken, Ichijouji, Ichijouji, Ken. It makes you wonder, is that really Ken? Now, I said, and Shady said, yes, we do think it is Ken. However, we know that we need two people to control Imperialdramon, and with them just labeling it as Ken, as well as the possible out there theory, although it is out there and probably wrong by Shady in terms of, heck man, maybe there's a projection, maybe that's a fake, maybe that's just a illusion or some sort, because the thing is this, they want Mekomon, and the Digital Emperor took Mekomon, but we actually find out that Mekomon was the actual reason for the virus itself. What if the Digital Emperor was just activating the virus or activating the infection? What if that's the power of the Digital Emperor? Another thing is, Imperialdramon and the Digital Emperor, they were just there to stall. What are they stalling for? Very similar to the first movie, Alphamon was just stalling. He was not going all out. What the hell are they doing? And it makes you think, is there someone above them? Is there someone who's controlling them? Who's the boss? What is Alphamon's role in this? What's the Digital Emperor's role in this? Will we see the fabled Digimon Demigra somehow in some way? Is Daemon going to make a return? See, we have all these questions, and I really do want all of you lot to comment down below to kind of answer these questions or speculate. I really love to hear your speculation. Now, let's finally compare Digimon Adventure Tri Determination versus Reunion. Now, Reunion worked because the actual reunion itself didn't go too well, or it wasn't as fluid as one would expect, where we had Tai and Matt being in conflict, and it was mentioned in this movie whereby Matt says, hey look, why was Omegamon, why was Omnimon separated so early? You're having doubts, what the hell's going through your head? And Tai doesn't address it, so obviously that's going to be another plot point to maybe be a secondary or third plot point that's going to drive the overarching storyline in the next few movies which are coming out, which is the next one is Confessions. Now, in terms of comparison, Determination was pretty much a carbon copy. I mentioned it earlier in another review somewhere, but this was a carbon copy of the first one in terms of the actual format, and the last 15 minutes we had a bit of action, and in the second episode we had a bit of action. The thing is, this Determination didn't really hit all the notes where it should have had. Reunion worked because it was the first one. It was the first time in what, 15 or so years it worked. Determination did not work in the way it wanted to, although it built a lot of tension, it built a lot of suspense, it really did cause intrigue going forward into the latter half of the actual movie itself. I agree with Shady in the fact that the fight itself was anticlimactic because we knew that Imperialdramon wasn't going all out. He could have killed all of them straight up, but the surprise at the end really did help. Mekomon is the virus Digimon. Mekomon kills Leomon. Well, Leomon dying wasn't a surprise, but Mekomon goes full on rogue by the infection. We see Mako's Digivice going all red. It was infected. It becomes a dark Digivice. Now it makes you wonder. It gives you more questions going forward. Now what the hell is going to happen later on? But the thing is, does that make up for the movie being lackluster, boring, and pretty much uneventful all the way through? Yes, it was full of comedy. Yes, it was full of humor, lightheartedness, and it really did showcase the other side characters to build up intrigue for Maki and Nishijima. And I predict that there's going to be conflict between Maki and Nishijima further on. Now I leave you with this one final little question. What if the humans who are supposedly an elite force are acting more harm? What if the humans, this elite force, inserted the virus, inserted this infection into the digital world to eradicate all the Digimon? They captured Azulongman or incapacitated him because he's been incapacitated a lot of times. What if they've kind of silenced or neutralized Genai? What if these humans are the main bad guys of the whole series of movies? The thing is, what if Alphamon's trying to stop that? What if he's trying to eradicate the cause of the virus itself? What if Maki knows more than she's letting out? And she obviously does know way more than she's letting out. Remember that Nishijima is many ranks below Maki. Maki is the boss of Nishijima as well as the ex. But the thing is, heck, what if Mako is an artificial DigiDestined created by the humans as a little lab rat to conquer or infect the digital world? Think about it. She doesn't know her parents all too well, or she's not in good terms with the parents or siblings, etc. She knew Maki beforehand. Maki is proven to be some sort of shady character. Now, this will cement great build-up for later things to come. Now my brain goes boom, I'm finished. And this will allow them to hide all these secrets. But I don't want this. I don't want the humans to be the main bad guys or the villains. I want Alphamon and all of them to have some sort of prominent speaking role, and that's going to be my final point. I wanted the Digital Emperor and Alphamon to speak. Now, because they weren't speaking, it makes you wonder what the hell's going on. And this is why I thought 100% it was Ken Ichijouji, but I'm having serious doubts. I do think it's someone else. I do think that maybe it is Ken, but he's like a mindless zombie of himself. Why the hell wasn't he speaking? Shady said it before. Ken is the most, especially in his Digital Emperor version, he's the very, very vocal, egotistical maniac. And Digimon are always speaking. Why the hell didn't Alphamon speak? But Leomon, yes, rest in peace, you're gonna die. But then again, don't rest in peace because we know you're gonna die. But that's it, guys. That's been the Digimon Adventure Try Determination review from Dimsy and Shady of Lightning. Now, I do want you to check out all of our other Digimon videos as well as the Dragon Ball Super videos. But do remember this, there's a lot more to come in the future because we're gonna have the best ways that Leomon died. We have the importance of Kari. We have character biographies for Tai, Matt, etc. We have many things that are gonna come out. So please make sure to subscribe if you are a Digimon fan, and if you are a Dragon Ball Super fan, subscribe as well. And also if you are a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, especially if you're interested in the anime itself, subscribe because there's going to be something later on. There's going to be a lot of things which are going to encompass Digimon, Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh in addition to WWE. So that's been our little channel trailer right there. I hope that didn't take too much of your time. So make sure to like, share, comment and subscribe. Share with your friends, etc. You may now exit Dimsy's domain, and as Shady would say, care for nothing.